So 99% of our YouTube life is actually spent in this room. But every now and then when that 1% hits, some pretty cool things can happen.
Like getting flown out to Novato, California by 2K for a creator event so we can check out a first look at Borderlands 4.
Thanks to 2K for sponsoring this video and for flying us out to Novato, California and putting us up at a hotel for this event, checking out Borderlands 4, and we're gonna get some more information on it. We're gonna get to play it, and really excited. This is the first kind of event that we're getting to do for this, and yeah, just can't wait. All right, so we just had our first taste of Borderlands 4.
It was awesome, which I know is a word that's overused, but it was still the right word.
Yes.
At one point, one of the people who was kind of guiding us through the facility, she's like, what was your favorite part? And I said, to be honest, I was like, there was just so much about this game to like, and I feel as though, because it all comes at you really fast when you're playing, I'm still processing what it was that I just kind of got to play and experience. So I didn't have an immediate answer because I'm still just thinking about it.
So we're playing next to some other creators as well in our own little like cubicles, and I'm just sitting there like giggling like an idiot. That's just some of the dialogue that was going on, which is kind of what drew us to Borderlands in the first place was the humor.
You can choke to death on spit. I've seen it.
They talked about, just taking in the feedback that they had from Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
And like making the game and the humor more grounded.
We'll see who's laughing when I unleash my secret weapon. Then I'll turn you to dust. Or goo. Still working it out.
Just how I prefer my land. Wet, but not too wet. There's a limit of wetness before it gets... what's more than wet? Soggy, maybe? Gross.
Definitely for the story and for the villain, there is greater maturity for this one compared to past Borderlands games, but they retain the humor. So there's a great kind of duality to the game from like this darkness of the story and then the humor and sort of like the sassiness of some of our vault hunters.
You'll be good in no time. Hey, drink up. Hydration, people. No more passing out. Protein for you. Anyone needs anything, just ask. How about you? You hurt? Hungry? Thirsty? Doesn't matter. I got you.
A lot of fun guns.
Are eating of the carnage.
You could control me.
We got to sit down with Graham, one of the developers, and so he had some great answers to the questions we asked.
All right, so we are here at 2K in Novato, California. We are lucky enough to get a sneak peek, and we actually have one of the creators here with us. Graham, do you want to give a little introduction to yourself?
Sure, I'm Graham Timmons. I'm the creative director for Borderlands 4.
And you've been with the franchise for basically since the beginning, correct?
Yes, I was lead level designer all the way back on BL1.
Excellent. That's very exciting. I was excited to talk to you actually because you've been with it since the beginning.
Yes.
So a lot of wealth of knowledge that you have. First and foremost, I think what drew you to the Borderlands franchise and what was essentially your favorite part about working on this franchise?
I've been a first person shooter player since I was pretty young, starting on Doom when I was like 12. But I love combat, I love action. And what I really liked about Borderlands is we were starting to like actually figure it out was this whole layer of the RPG side where there was more going on than just picking up a specific gun. Now we created this system where the guns all had different stats and feel and behavior, and then the growth of an RPG where killing enemies to get experience and then to kind of customize how my character worked through the action skills and the skill trees was just like just clicked for me. And then, working on that project, making really fun combat. I'm a level designer at heart, and I love making really fantastic environments and thinking about how I can be mean to players and how I can be nice to players, and reward players through, exploring the world, finding loot chests, finding hidden collectibles and whatnot. So, it just happened to be a great combination of great first-person combat with these RPG elements that I also loved, and that's why I stayed. I love it.
Excellent. You mentioned the weapons, and so I'm going to jump ahead to a question because that's actually one that I had. The preview of the game that you gave to us, you talked about crafting versus enhancements and the element of enhancements that's really key to Borderlands 4. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we're a looter shooter, and loot is like paramount to the experience. And so there's not any like actual crafting in the game. The weapon that you find is the weapon that drops, and that's what you're gonna have. But you can tweak it through the enhancement slot, because the enhancements all speak to the licensed behaviors of these weapons. So as long as you pick up any weapon that has a licensed part for that enhancement, that weapon gets those bonuses. So I might have a Vladoff assault rifle, but if I have a Jacobs part in that rifle, now the Jacobs enhancement bonus applies to that Vladoff gun because it still has the Jacobs part. So what that lets you do is kind of min-max your playstyle around a manufacturer behavior and not necessarily just a manufacturer weapon itself. Paired with the number of behaviors and licensed parts that can spawn on gear, you get some very crazy combinations that we haven't had in the past, that really, like, I pick up a gun, I'm like, oh, I want to try that in depth. Like before it was like, oh, I like this manufacturer, I'm gonna stick with that manufacturer. Now it's like, I like this manufacturer part, and now I'm playing with all of the gear in the game as opposed to being so specific to a manufacturer. So I think we found a really great place for players to express themselves through the gear.
And since I know you have a lot of experience with these kinds of games, and obviously with Borderlands 4, do you have a favorite weapon and manufacturer like enhancement that you look for?
Right now, I would say my favorite has been Jacobs licensed behavior, because Jacobs do the ricochets on crits, right? So I love headshots. They're always satisfying.
Yeah.
And then you get that extra crit bullet that goes off and hits something else. Well, one of the enhancements gives you, I think, a 40% chance to have a non-critical bullet also crit. So if I get like a Vladoff weapon that has a big mag, and it's just like 60 bullets, and it's like a chain gun, even if I'm not hitting the head all the time, some of those bullets are still hitting the body or also getting ricocheted because of that enhancement that before wouldn't. I really look for the Jacobs enhancements in particular, and then I always am looking for any piece of gear that has a licensed Jacobs part on it. That's been my go-to the last month and a half.
For those who are maybe new to the franchise and finding it through Borderlands 4 for the first time, because I know that Borderlands 4 is like a great introduction game that came up in State of Play. It was like, if you haven't picked up the franchise before, this is a great gateway in.
Yes.
What one thing would you want a new player to know if they were going to pick up Borderlands 4 for the first time?
This is a great starting point for coming into the world of Borderlands. We built our campaign thinking about what it would be like for a new player to come into the Borderlands universe and lore. And we purposely kind of paced out the world in a way that if you're already deep in the Borderlands world, it feels immediately familiar. But as a new player, you don't have to have the history of the franchise to know what's going on. There's a bunch of new characters that are just new to the franchise, so that's new to everyone. So you don't feel like, oh, am I supposed to know that person?
Right.
But as you progress through the campaign, you do meet some returning characters from the previous games, but they're still introduced as a way as like, we have to assume you've never played it before, right? To tell a good story. So we're always thinking about how do we speak to the new player with the story and not confuse them and overwhelm them with a whole bunch of new concepts. And I think we've done a really great job of pacing that out. So the story will actually like bring you into Borderlands and not overwhelm you. And then it's a great first person shooter. If you like shooting things, you're gonna love shooting things in this game. And we've added that RPG depth that we know a lot of people are interested in it and like kind of expressing themselves through gameplay. You can really build a whole play style around the way you like to play a first person shooter and not be locked into a specific combat style or anything. That's why the action skills have such range.
The game itself, the villain in it, this timekeeper tyrant. I'm curious, with the order versus chaos idea going into a completely new planet, was there any specific inspiration for the story element of this game? Because it does feel very immersive while you're playing it, and it's very easy to get invested in it.
We wanted to harken back to a more serious tone and have more stakes. And so we wanted a villain that could actually kind of inspire, stronger feelings, of like intimidation and fear. And I think we found a great place where he has this attitude that does feel like kind of foreboding, that it's also interesting. And it's not just like a one-note trite character. You want to know, why is the timekeeper, and why has he had control of this planet? He's hiding something. He's almost toying with you about it. And so as much as he's like a great villain, he's also an interesting character that you want to learn about that history. I think we've just done a good job of kind of bringing him into the Borderlands vibe while also keeping those stakes serious, but never too dull or straightforward. Humor still matters to Borderlands. We still like jokes.
I've had chap lips for 7 years.
But like on the campaign in particular, we want to just have a more grounded story that's a little more BL1, BL2 era. But we still have crazy side missions, and you'll hear quips between players and even the timekeeper himself, where they kind of go back and forth. I think we found a great balance.
Yeah, I would definitely say very successful from what little bit we just experienced.
Yeah, you guys got like this much. There's a lot more.
We started doing couch co-op as gamers, and it feels like a lot of games now have moved away from couch co-op into the world of online gaming, which is great, but sometimes you want the experience of being in the same room and having that. Borderlands has retained that, and I'm just curious, as one of the creators, why was that important to you?
One of our key, I have 5 pillars of Borderlands, key terms, and the first one is social. Borderlands has started as a couch co-op game, and it has become part of its identity. It's hard. A lot of games don't do it anymore because it's so hard. The tech requirements, we always want to push the boundaries, and we will use every piece of hardware to its fullest extent, but that's hard.
Yeah.
I sympathize with some other companies who've moved away from it and moved to online, because it is convenient in terms of having everyone be online all the time. But it's so important to our franchise because of those moments that you can't really get from just playing with your friends online. There's a whole different vibe when you're playing couch co-op and something crazy happens and you're sharing that moment face to face, right?
Yeah.
And so, we made the tough decisions to stay committed to co-op and do the hard work it takes to make co-op a fun, performant experience. It speaks back to that key word of social. So much about Borderlands revolves around co-op, and couch co-op is one of those elements.
Thanks to 2K for making us a part of this and letting us play Borderlands 4 and trying it out, giving our opinion on it, and flying us out here to Novato. It was just a great experience.
Yeah, thank you, 2K.
Yeah.
If you love Borderlands 4 and you want to support the channel, then go ahead and pre-order the game via our link in the description of this video.